In this video, I'm going to build my friend a budget keyboard, show you how to hot swap, and talk about some common building mistakes to avoid. Let's get it. First things first though, let's talk about the setup. My friend wanted something really simple and to the point, but also relatively inexpensive. He wanted a black design with RGB, a number pad, wireless, and brown switches. Brown switches. I couldn't sit idly by and watch him do that to himself, so I convinced him to up his game a tad and spring for some better tactile switches. Let's talk about what we're building with. So, the base keyboard. This is the Keychron K4 version 2. So it's a 96% wireless mechanical keyboard. It's got a small form factor. It's got a number pad, RGB, black aluminum frame. It's a solid budget keyboard out of the box, but we can improve it even further using Hotswap. We can easily hot swap out the brown switches for these Kiwi switches. They're also tactile switches, meaning that they have this little bump and resistance on the key press as you push down, but the sound and feel should be much improved. Next up, we have the keycaps. So he wanted black keycaps for a stealthy build, but they have shine-through capabilities, so we can take advantage of the RGB on the keyboard. So all we need from here is a small hex head screwdriver, a key cap puller, this comes in the box of the Keychron K4 Feed 2, and then a key switch puller, which also comes in the box of the V2. Let's do it. Okay, so now that we have the keycaps removed, we just need to pull out the switches from the socket. Because it's a hot swap board, there's no need to desolder it. You can use the included key switch puller, but honestly, it kind of sucks. I mean, look at this garbage. It bends, it makes the whole process way harder. Honestly, I would spend the extra $5 to $10 on an industrial key switch puller on Amazon. There's a link down below in the description. It will save you a lot of headache down the line, I promise. Also, while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. Next tip. It's difficult to get to the correct angle for pulling these switches out. You wanna make sure you're pulling straight out, and if you're pulling on the top or bottom row, getting a good grip on the switch is actually kind of tough. So I would remove the frame around the Keychron using a screwdriver. As you're yanking out the switches, there are these two tabs on the top and bottom of each switch that you need to get the cap puller underneath. So that's what's happening here. So even though I said this was kind of trash, this little one that comes with it, there are a couple switches as you go along that actually have too narrow of an angle in order to grab the switches. So this tiny one actually does come in handy after all. Next, we're putting in the Kiwi switches. So the reason I picked these switches beyond just being really good tactile switches is the light factory lubrication pre-applied to them. Also, the affordability. At just $16.25 for a pack of 25, it's actually a really good deal. So I could unlube these switches and then I could get a new lubrication, I could reapply it, you'd probably end up with a deeper sound signature and a better feel. But frankly, the guy I'm building this for was gonna settle for Cherry MX Browns, and these are going to be leagues better anyway. And we wanted to keep it simple. I know some enthusiasts may balk at this, but if you really just wanted a better upgrade out of the box with very little fuss, these are the switches to go with. The big tip I would say here is to make sure you're pushing the switch straight in. Do not force it. You'll hear a satisfying click when it's locked in properly. Do not bend those gold pins at the bottom because you might damage the switch, or even worse, you might damage the socket, and that would make that key useless. Okay, so quick sound test just to see how it's coming along. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a hiccup here. We have a non-standard bottom row, which means that these are 1-unit keys, where on traditional keyboards, they're like 1.25 unit keys, so they don't quite fit where they're supposed to go. So in the meantime, we'll have to pick up some blank black OEM profile 1-unit keys to put there, so we'll get back to it. Okay, so the blank 1-unit keycaps just showed up from Amazon, so we're gonna throw these on the keyboard and test it out. All right, so the build is done. I think it looks awesome. I think it sounds great, and it's a large improvement over the base keyboard and other pre-builds. So the total price of this build is around $220, give or take, depending on the keycaps that you get. And it's definitely competitive given the other keyboards in this price range. One last thing, I would just make sure before you put all of your tools away that you check out a key switch tester online to make sure that all of the switches actually work. So something came up during this build that didn't come up the last time I built on this keyboard. Make sure when you pick up your keycaps for this keyboard that you have some extra 1-unit keycaps for the bottom row. It's a non-standard bottom row, meaning that they've rearranged some of the keys, and so not all keycap sets will fit this keyboard. Also, some of the Kiwi switches had bent or broken pins, so we ended up using every single last switch for this build. So other than those few hiccups, this was a very simple, straightforward build. It was a lot of fun, and we could have gone a little bit further by adding some foam, relubing the switches, and relubing the stabilizers, but that would have defeated the purpose of making this a straightforward build. So if you want to see more on that process, let me know in the comment section below. If you were looking into a similar build construction, hopefully that sound test provided you with some insight into the basic budget starter build for a wireless keyboard. Building a custom keyboard is a really great way to upgrade your desk setup, but it can be time consuming, so Hotswap just makes it so much easier and more accessible. All right, that's all for this one. Links to all of the products mentioned are gonna be down below in the video description. Please also hit like and subscribe while you're down there. It really helps the channel out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.